Welcome back, fellow wanderers, adventurers, hikers, writers, explorers, midlifers, empty nesters, near retirees, all of y'all. Welcome back. It's been 100 days, plus or minus, that we sat in this very spot to talk about the anti-expert in creativity crone era of my YouTube channel that I was busily talking about, thinking about, dreaming about, and creating. And guess what? I want to give you a recap. I want to talk about what has happened and what's on the horizon, what's next. Because I would like nothing more than for you to collaborate with me, to help me out, to know what you want me to talk about, how you want me to explore. If there's things you're curious about that I haven't addressed yet, I feel in some ways like an entirely different person than when I started out. And just like this trail is entirely different, almost, except for this glacial erratica. Now, 100 days ago, I did not know this was a glacial erratica. That's the magic of taking time to explore, discover, and say, hey, I actually do not have a clue what I'm doing. So let's recap. Let's go back and then go forward. Oh, by the way, I'm Julie Jordan Scott. I am the creative life midwife. I love working with people to restore their artistry of life and to write, to ask questions, to be curious, and to not judge themselves for not being an expert, because playful experimentation is what has made my world go round for years. And I've gotten to a whole new level of comfort through hanging out with y'all, all y'all who've been here for the last 100 days. And if this is your first time here, hooray! Please take a moment to like and subscribe and get ready to comment so I can keep in touch with you. And if you have a YouTube channel, I'd love to watch your videos so that I can engage with you on your channels as well. So here we go. Well, when I was here before, I talked about how I wanted to toe dip into a nomadic lifestyle because I was about to go to California for a long trip, about 6 weeks. It was a part of the 100 days. I also wanted to not constantly be worried about what other people were saying was the right way to do things. I kind of had done that for a long time, and I found that doing what the experts told me to do stifled my creativity. I don't want it to be stifled. And wow, have I made some great discoveries along the way that I'll talk about. Being rusty and imperfect has been so much fun. And I found that we have a lot more to talk about when I do that, rather than when I'm going off a script, especially if that script is created by AI. You know, those AI scripts and AI stuff might be good for some people and in some circumstances, but your voice is your voice, and the only way that you will get to your voice is by speaking, it's by writing, it's by showing up as your authentic self. So over the last 100 days, I would say that was the biggest lesson I learned. That, and keeping track of the new stuff like this thing. It's not a rock. It's not a throne, although I consider it a throne. It's a glacial erratica created by glaciers flowing down here so very long ago. So there you go. The last 100 days, I've grown, I've learned, I've stumbled, I've gotten up, I've stumbled, I've gotten up, I've stumbled, I've gotten up. I've been really curious about that bird. Was it just flew by? It was huge. I do have notes because I want to make sure that we get all the good stuff. So that's kind of where I've been these last 100 days. Traveling, growing, exploring, trying new things, and bringing my best to you, which you can see in some of the videos. Go back, I made a playlist called The Anti-Expert. And the other thing that I really loved is that I found my way back to some of my favorite specialties, my places where I am actually an expert, whether that's in storytelling and writing, and also in goofy things like tree hugging. But I'm thinking with my tree hugging, one of my most recent videos, I'll link up to it here, where I am talking about red oaks and black oaks and having a great time out in the woods, a different part of the High Point State Park. I realized with my tree hugging, I could actually give y'all some more information of what I've learned about the science behind tree hugging and mental health. So we may explore that. What do you think? Comment below and let me know if you think that's cool. Next up is growing, where we're growing next. I talked about reclaiming storytelling as something I'm an expert in. And I'm curious to know, just think for a moment, what are you ready to reclaim in your life that you may have let go of, that you may have stopped doing, that you may feel somewhat blocked around because of what someone else said or instructions from another expert or guru? And what would you like to toe dip into? I would not like to toe dip into all these mosquitoes. They weren't here last winter. So that's a question, a place that I'd like for you to think about as we continue in our conversation. If you want to pause the video here and write that down, that would be great. Ready to go on? So I wanted to start talking about the nomad, tipping my foot into their toes. Actually, I'm about up to my ankles in the digital nomad realm, and how I wanted to explore that partially through housekeeping and house sitting and pet sitting. That's hilarious. House sitting and pet sitting, and really being intentional when I go places. So coming up for me I have 4 house sitting gigs coming up. One in June in a few weeks. That's going to be our test run, and I'll videotape that. And I'm doing that in conjunction with going to see James Taylor in concert, because I'm a big James Taylor fan. And then the 2nd and 3rd are in September. And then I may have one in October. And then I'm going to have a winter one back in California, which is perfect. It coincides with my birthday. So So these are some things that I'm going to be doing, that I set the intention, I moved forward, I took the steps that I wanted to take, I joined trusted house sitters, I reached out to people who lived in places that I wanted to go and who had pets that I'd like to spend time with. And I got over the hurdle of being afraid. I got over the hurdle of worrying about how does this work. I got over the hurdle of having interviews with people about pet and house sitting that I haven't done much of. I'm certainly not an expert in that, but I'm a human. I love people. I love animals. And I just would love to see where this goes. And I think that house sitting would be a good way for me to do the nomad thing part-time, because I still have a grandbaby that I want to hang out with. So it will definitely be a part-time thing, but I'm feeling more and more encouraged by it as a way to get out to places where I wanted to go. So on this trip coming up, I'm going to go to Grandma Gatewood's Trail. Do you know who Grandma Gatewood was? Anybody? Any AT fans out there? I know some of you are Appalachian Trail fans like me. Grandma Gatewood was the first woman to through hike the Appalachian Trail. And she was close to my age, has an amazing story. There's a lot I could tell you about her, but when we go out to Ohio and we look at her trail, I'll tell you even more. The state park there is Hosking State Park, and I am going to try to solo camp for the first time ever. And now that I've said that, I feel like, okay, I just stated that declaration out loud, so we're gonna do it in Ohio, all of us, because again, this channel it's owned by me and it's kind of facilitated by me, but it's really about you. Because if I could help you feel more free and do the things that you love and create from your heart and soul and spirit instead of what some person is giving you a script to say, then I'm all about it with you, in collaboration with you. So that's one thing. Curious, another question. What lifestyle shift have you been longing to make? So a lot of you are new retirees or coming up in your retirement. You may be new empty nesters. You may just be sick of your conventional job, like I was at the ripe old age of 38 was when I left my government job. Sometimes I think back and I think, what would have happened to my life if I had stayed at that government job? I could have retired right about now with a nice healthy pension. And I wonder, God, it makes me want to cry. I wonder what would have happened to my mental health if I had done that. Anyway, something to think about. Let's keep going. I have, especially in the last couple of weeks, really grown in my creative flow, or kind of had a reunion with my creative flow. I've set up some new structures, some new practices, and I'm again playfully experimenting with my writing, which is my anchor art. You know, I'm a storyteller that comes with acting sometimes. I am a performance poet. I am an actor, an award-winning actor. I'm an award-winning storyteller. I have done a lot of different creative things, but writing is my anchor art. And I think right alongside with that is making video, because making videos to me, this is like writing out loud. This is like writing with my speaking voice when I'm on a roll anyway. But I am so excited as we keep going to share some of these ways that I've experienced tremendous great breakthroughs. Because for me, it's great that I have a breakthrough, yay me. What I really would love is for you to have breakthroughs wherever you would like to have them. So maybe you want to have a breakthrough in fitness. That's something I'm working on too. But maybe you want to have some kind of breakthrough on fitness. So maybe me stumbling along with my writing and stumbling along with my fitness will help you go somewhere too. It might make you feel more brave also. That would be my hope for you. So I'd like to ask, where in your life, in your creative life, in any part of your life, are you getting willing to drop your mask and ready to be a more authentic version of yourself than you've been? What is one small step you could take in that direction? Let's keep going. All right, this is probably my most unexpected delight that came out of the anti-expert era, where I still am an anti-expert in some areas. Like I'm an anti-expert in house sitting. I'm in pet sitting. By the way, just an aside, I have had dogs for a lot of my life, but I was in deep love with my couple of my most recent dogs. And then I met other dogs and was like, none of y'all can add up or even be remotely like the greatness of my dog. And yet when I was house sitting recently, my daughter was like, wow, you really are a dog person. I fell in love with these dogs and they fell in love with me. So that was a big surprise. But creatively, what the big surprise was as I was being anti-expert, I was also falling back in love with storytelling and talking about storytelling and teaching about storytelling. And this has been a forte of mine since I was very little, very young. And I would do it when I was very little in similar ways. Like in my basement, I made up something called WJAJ, which was a network. W, which is the East Coast channels. JAJ, Julie and Jordan. And I put up a sheet and I had a stage and I did shows starring me, kind of like this. It's almost like I foretold what I would be doing here. But what I also realized that an anti-expert, even in something of expertise, is about having that wonder and delight and discovery and trusting. For me, it's like I do something called, I can't believe, see, this is totally off the cuff, Julie riffing. I do personalized poetry and soul poetry, where I will talk to people and get information from them about their lives. And we will just sit together in kind of a creative cocoon together. And then I call it two-person bungee jumping into the unknown. And I write poetry for people, all intuitively, all divine inspiration. And it's kind of like that. I am an expert at tuning in intuitively. I am an expert in trusting that goodness will come through that has nothing to do with me. And so, yes, I'm an anti-expert in dog sitting and house sitting, yet I was able to fall in love with those dogs. Yes, I am an expert in storytelling, and I can still trust that for those of you who are still here, you haven't run away yet. I hope. And that's just a facet of me that you may never have known, that I, for whatever reason, decided to be transparent enough to tell you. So, question for you. It's interesting because I wrote this question down earlier and it must have ignited that piece of my story that I just told you. Is there something you know deeply, something that you believe deeply, that you have been hesitant to share, hesitant to speak up about, because it just doesn't feel right and you feel some kind of fear around being accepted? Or you might think that people will suddenly think you're weird, people who've known you for a long time. Some of you who have YouTube channels, you probably had to overcome that. Because, I mean, who starts a YouTube channel? People who don't have YouTube channels don't understand how on earth we want to have a YouTube channel. Anyway, just something to think about. And I hope, again, comment answers to these questions. Or if you have questions about these questions and want to talk to me, I have a spot there where you can schedule, in the description below, there's a spot where you can schedule a phone session with me. I'd love to talk to you, or a Zoom session, or whatever you feel like. That would be a great honor to me to have that conversation with you. Finally, what's next, growth edgewise? So growth edgewise for me is to continue to grow my courage, to get over those blocks, those hurdles, those letting those critiques and those people who critique mercilessly or who try to shut me down, to have the courage. See, it still happens. I have the courage to continue to making, and that I have the courage to continue going deeper with my writing. and that I continue to build my trust, because one of the most important things about this whole 100-day adventure, and this, do you see how the sun came out when I said that? The whole thing about re-emerging my YouTube channel was to know that it's really so much about the process. It's about the mystery and the discovery and the delight. And what a joy to share that with you in all of my wobbly, uncomfortable, awkward, very Julie-esque ways. And my bet is that each of you out there has your own you-esque ways. You know, you put your name and an esque on the end, like Forrest-esque. Or you might say Forrest Lore. I know that's probably a millennial thing. This is for my friend Tish, if she's watching. Julie Lore. That's very much Julie Lore, she might say. Folklore, Taylor Swift, nod to T Swift. My final question for you that I cooked up before I left the manse is, where are you being invited to step forward in your life, in your creative process, in your personal growth, in that soul calling that I talked about, in your experience of trust? Where are you being called to be different in 100 days than you are now? That's a question that may take a while longer to come to an answer. So, again, leave me a comment what you're thinking. If you don't feel comfortable making a comment, send me an email. That's also in the description below. I want to hear from you. I want to know what's going on with you. And there will be a part 2. I'm getting eaten up by mosquitoes. And next time I come out here, ooh, there's a little caterpillar I'm rescuing. A little caterpillar. Finding my light. Whether you are longing for more creative freedom, a stronger voice for yourself, to have more fun and delight, and to maybe have permission to be your most childlike, goofy self, then you are in the right place. I hope that you will subscribe. I hope that you'll hang out here with me. And I hope that if you have any questions, considerations, noticings, gratitude, deep joy, please come back. I'll be so happy to see you again. This is Julie Jordan Scott, the Creative Life Midwife, and I am so honored that you chose to spend part of your day here with me today.